What's up? What's up? What's up? We about to get started. Yo, I'm so happy to be here. One more time. I think I sound good. I fixed my mic. Okay, here we go. Welcome. We're about to get started. This conversation is about to go now.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Dropping the mask we wear day to day, building real trust in a brand new way. For a deeper connection, let's explore on transparent conversations. Transparent conversations, where every word can open doors. Transparent conversations. Yeah, let's talk about it.
I like that. So I like that. I like that new song I use a lot. I had to pay it twice. Welcome to Transparent Conversations, Elevated Exchanges. I am your host, Calvin, or CPJR, if you feel me. CPJR 300. I think I'm a little confused. So anyway, welcome back to my little space on the internet where I get to talk about current events, political things, mostly right now. I actually like to talk about different things, but right now I can only talk about what's happening to the country, what's happening to democracy, and if we're going to continue to be a democracy. I don't know. I'm not too sure. But we're going to keep talking about what's going on until we figure it out. So this is my space, Transparent Conversations, Elevated Exchanges, on YouTube. It's also on Substack. Just look for Transparent Conversations. Links are always in the show notes. If this is your first time here, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. I hope that you're getting something out of this. If you have a chance, please like, share, and subscribe. It would mean a lot to me to build up the viewership, build up the community. Trying to do something different for the DMV. Having a serious conversation about politics, and also having some fun with it too. In these hard times. So welcome. All right. So before we get started with the show and talk about what's going on, did you notice anything different about this week? One thing I noticed about these last 2 days, I was last on here. What was that, Monday? Wednesday. I was here Wednesday talking about basically the blue MAGA. Democrats are definitely in a strange situation. I'm not sure if they're up for the fight, or I'm not sure if they actually really want to fight. I'm hearing a lot more about the difference between leftists, and liberals. Apparently, there's a difference. I'm not sure of the difference. I basically call myself a liberal. I know a lot of leftists do lean towards communism, and that's something we need to look out for. But liberals lean more towards fascism. So there's a divide there that's going on. And one thing, I guess the Democrats may have been out of it or not really online this week because they're pretty much tied up with the Pam Bondi. What was it? Deposition. She was in front of Congress. She was called in front of Congress to talk about things, and she wouldn't even do the oath. She's still the same nasty, ugly person that she was, and she went on the Capitol Hill and decided to just keep being her. She being her. I guess she still, she still feels that what's the thing called? She still feels that she doesn't have to worry about being prosecuted because the 47 is still in charge, and he still has immunity, and he is not going to order the DOJ or the FBI to investigate her or lock her up. So if she's on Capitol Hill, they aren't going to do anything. If she just sits there and screams and yells at them. So apparently she didn't ask any questions. They were asking about the Epstein situation. She didn't bring anything new to light, and I didn't expect that she would. So basically in the news today, we also keep hearing a lot about the Iran situation. with Israel, and the fact that there's apparently a deal. It involves some money. I don't think that this president, this regime, has a way out of the situation, or do they? I don't think they really care to get out of the situation peacefully. They don't know how. We teamed up with Israel, and our interests are not aligned at all. It's just like becoming more and more apparent that what Israel wants and what America wants are completely different. They're divergent, and we need to really address how much they're in our politics, and we need to address how much integration is happening with the IDF, the Israeli Defense Force. It seems to be a lot of it, and it seems to be a lot of it, and it's not all good. I mean, currently to the defense authorization, the one that's being passed, the budget and everything like that, there is a section, I think it's 224, that actually wants to integrate the IDF and the United States military to work together and share information, technology, and all that kind of stuff. I don't know what this is happening. I didn't know Israel's not a state. Israel is not a state of the United. It's not a state in the United States. I do not consider them an ally. I never have. I used to be a lot more tolerant of them, trying to just understand the constant turmoil they apparently were going through. I was kind of sympathetic to it until now I understand exactly what was going on, and that's what's been spooking me the most. If you just pay attention to what's going on in New York, and they're protesting Mandami, not because of anything he's done, just because he is, and he is a Muslim, and he's the mayor. Nothing he's done will give me the impression that he's trying to oppress Jewish people, Zionists, or Israel. I think they just don't like the fact that he is doing a very good job for the people, and all of a sudden, people are going to start seeing Muslims in the light they should be seen in individually. Islam is not an evil. It's not an evil religion. It's probably one of the more tolerant religions. Because it's not like Christianity. Christianity wants to spread, right? One thing I keep seeing in posts and things like this is about, even when they talk about Israel, is they'll come up with somebody will just post Jesus is king, or they don't believe in Jesus, that type of thing, or you have to believe in Jesus to go to heaven. They'll post these type of things under anything that's either Muslim or Israel, and they'll say things like they don't believe in Jesus and all this kind of stuff. So I think Christianity is probably the most violent religion on the earth and in history, or recorded history, because I think it was going to be all of them are pretty much violent. But I think that of the three, Judaism, Islam, and Christianity is the one that is probably the most violent, or most violent in tendencies, because they have if you don't believe this, you're going to hell, or this is the way and there is no other way. So of all of the religions, I think that will be the one to watch out for. But for some reason, and they call it Christian nationalism or Christian Zionism, but all of it's like new to me. I wasn't paying attention to any of this before now. I probably should have. Like I say, I do apologize to, because I have friends that were Persian and Islamic or Muslim from those areas who worked over here. They work in IT, and I say they were some of my best friends at work all the time, and I think some of them were trying to teach me, and I'd be like, I don't want to hear all that. You know what I'm saying? Because I didn't understand it. They were trying to explain it to me, but I didn't understand what they were actually saying. But now we're seeing it play out day after day, and now we have to question our politicians, our media, the stories that we're seeing now. Outside of the mainstream media, independent media, something that they can't control is and you hear if you pay attention, you hear a lot about Israel want to clamp down on social media because they can't control the narrative, and that's when they talk about the surveillance and and AI. They want to use it to control even social media or independent media like YouTube. We've already heard reports about certain big YouTube independent media sources or platforms have been they're seeing their numbers go down. They're being shadow banned, and I know that for a fact. I look at like I said, Midas Touch, Bulwark, Crooked Media, pretty much every day. And it used to be when this all started, that was really my first recommended videos, right? I would see those recommended all day at first. And now I barely see the Bulwark and I barely see a lot of Midas Touch or Legal AF podcasts. I see it very seldom. I do see a lot more AI videos because I'm actually doing a lot more research on AI. It's not sustainable. It's a sham. It's not a sham. Let me say this. It's not a sham. It's a tool. But the way they want to do it, it's not sustainable. It's just not going to be sustainable. And I don't know why I don't really want to discuss it because from the very beginning when someone asked me about it, older friend was asking me, am I trying to get into this AI thing? And I'm like, cause she's like, people are making money. I'm like, nah, I think it's a fad. I don't think it's sustainable. I kind of felt that way right away. Because of the data centers, right? You know, like I said, I've organized here. I've been to data centers. I see where they are, and I see that they're very hot. And the reason that data centers came about, and from the very beginning, was because that it's very expensive for companies to keep server rooms in their offices. When I first got in IT. You would start at a company. The company would have a server room, right? It would be just a room. All the endpoints for termination points for the cabling would be there. There'd be switches, routers, and servers, right? It was usually very hot in there, unless they had a very good air conditioning. I had some companies, if the air conditioning goes out, you're in trouble. You're quickly trying to come up with a way to cool those machines. You're powering off machines that don't need to be up because of the heat. So take that by a million, and then that's what we're dealing with. You're dealing with some a huge amount of heat that has to be dissipated, or it could actually catch on fire. I've been in server rooms that smoke sparks have gone wrong, and even if you can pay for your cooling in your server room. You didn't have to pay for monitoring, because I've seen cooling units that all of a sudden stopped and flooded the server room, flooded it with water. So you have to deal with that. So the way to get away from that, because data communications, T1 lines were a lot less expensive, and basically if you have your office in DC, you have your data center out in Ashburn, the broadband line you couldn't afford to do it. It was very affordable. You could do two, right, for the price of what they used to be. So you didn't have to have the server room in your office, so you don't have to worry about the cooling, the water issues that you're gonna have, or just stuff burning out. So in my career, we were just moving all the servers out of our offices, unless it was something like a telecommunication system, phone systems. Those were in the office, but most servers were not in the office. They were actually at a co-location. And then with that, so you have all these companies want to we call it co-location. All these companies want to put their servers in one location, and let that location take care of the cooling and all the security and all the physical needs of having servers. And now with the AI, that just goes up more and more. And like I said before, if you have one, you got to have two, because we would have, we have a site in Ashburn, we had a site in Ashburn. We had another site in Ashburn, like two that were mirrored. And then we had another site in Pennsylvania. So if anything happened, we'd be able to switch over right away for fault tolerance, disaster recovery, and things like that. So That's what data centers were. These new hyperscaling data centers with all this AI is like a lot hotter, and they have to be a lot bigger. And that's what's happening with the resources. Okay, before I get started with the videos and what I've been seeing this week and talk about how bad things really are. It's really bad. Like I don't think a lot of people actually understand. And I really could tell it because a lot of people just don't want to watch news. How bad things really are. We are really in a weird place, and we don't have an opposition. We don't have an opposition. I don't think, like I said, I'm independent, but I don't think we can really trust the Democrats. They aren't on the same page, and then like I said, I haven't seen them doing it. They seem to be going in hiding, or maybe they're trying to get a message, but they really aren't front and center right now with what's going on. Who is front and center? Israel. And I guess the war. And I guess there's nothing they can do about it, so I just be quiet. So I hope they're coming up with a plan. Right now I want to talk about my sponsor. What's my sponsor name? HyperNatural. HyperNatural. So basically my partner this week sells clothing, but this is clothing with for men. Like this isn't it, but this is like a polo. This is a black polo. Their polo, this has got polyester in it. This is from True Classic. So I do shop at True Classic, and this might be from True Classic or Old Navy, but they pretty much sell the same thing. So this is a higher level. These are made with all natural fibers, things like seashells. They do things like that to make it natural, to make it more comfortable to wear in hot weather. It's sweat. What does it call it? Wicking, getting the sweat from your body because it gets hot. As you get older, you get hotter. I don't know. That's been terrible. So this is made sort of like active tees or active wear that you see, and you kind of don't really get to see the sweat on it. Us older fellas, we really like it because if it gets hot fast, and it's not about the change for us. It's just like we just get hot. So I wanted to show you the video on that. And like I said, if you like something on the site and you want to purchase it, use my code ELEVATE. And then you'll get yourself 20% off.
Everybody likes to tell you this, but there are tricks that most clothing brands use to sound clean while selling you plastic. Watch for these words. If you hear sustainability, eco-conscious, made with natural fibers, which is kind of sneaky because having a little bit of natural with a lot of plastic is no good, and still legally say that they're made with natural fibers. Same for earth-friendly, same for responsibly sourced. This means that the brands want you to feel good just as much as they want you to look good. But the thing is, the only word that actually means something is the fiber content on the tag. So flip it over, take a look at your shirt, and read the tag. Read your labels, just like you do in your food.
It's HyperNatural. So yeah, here's the website. Like I said, if you go there and use my code word ELEVATE, find something nice and natural fibers and sustainable, and get yourself 20% off. Thanks a lot for considering that. So we're gonna get started on the videos. So like I said, I've been since the last time I was here on Wednesday night. I've been thinking a lot about the Democrats and the Blue MAGA and Israel, AIPAC, and the numbers are really, really bad. The amount of representatives that we have that may be sold out, they may not be really on our side, may have to consider other things before they vote on certain things. And the whole thing we just found out today about Israel being integrated with our military. Now the IDF, I remember it's been a long time. I think we used to hear things like this about the IDF, and I used to hear like back in the day, I know for a fact the DC police, the Metropolitan Police, they went to Israel to train with them. So the IDF has been training probably our soldiers and our police forces for a while. Now, why is that? I don't understand it. I don't understand why. I'm trying to understand the special relationship. Like we say, I heard a lot of people say we have a special relationship with England, right? But I don't understand, because it was a British colony. I don't. But the relationship with Israel is just, it baffles me, and it just keeps coming up in the feed, and I'm really concerned about the what we've been hearing today. We didn't hear it until today, right? Like the mainstream media was so restricted and what's the word I want to use? Monitored and censored, that the atrocities that we're hearing about now, people were talking about it, but if you only watch mainstream media like I used to, the news, you wouldn't have heard about it, or you probably just heard about it, but it didn't really register, because they would always say that Israel has a right to defend itself. And yeah, everybody has a right to defend themselves, but what did you do? You know what I'm saying? What if you hit your, like, if somebody say they hit me, like, what did you do? Why did he hit you? Right? We never asked that question. We never asked really what, like, we're presented with the fact that and it's still, like I said before, it's still in the even independent media you hear about, we just don't want Iran to have a nuclear weapon. Iran has never bombed anyone with a nuclear weapon. Right? If Iran says they don't believe in the right for Israel to exist, means that the current Israel did not exist before 1940, whatever, in the 40s, right? It didn't exist, right? There were people on that land. The British decided that Israel needs to have a home, and then they settled the Israels there, and Israel said, you know what? We want all this. We're going to take it all, because they believe that they're better than everybody else. And it's out there. Everything I'm saying, I'm not going to say anything that's not true, or try my best to not say anything that's not true. And I will always try to, if I say anything that's not true, I will always try to correct it. And this stuff is kind of strange. All right, so we're going to go into the first video, and it's going to be like a video with Tucker Carlson. And he is really, I think he's an opportunist most of all. But I think he kind of may be concerned about, you know, the story. He might be anti-Semitic too. I want to say this about anti-Semitism, right? Disclaimer: I always say I do not care about a Semitic. I do not know now I know what a Semitic is. A Semitic is somebody who was born from that land, which most of the Israelis are not. They're Ashkenazi Jews from Europe. So they're trying to claim something that's not theirs. They're not Semitic for the most part. The Palestinians are Semitic. They are from that land, and that's the problem. So we're gonna really just like go through this first video. Tucker Carlson. We're gonna see him talking about just what's been happening over there, and what we need to actually understand and accept. And they're going to come at us hard because they want to keep this country under their control and in their court, and be able to use us as much as possible. Right now, the Iran thing is a debacle. They're talking about a settlement, giving Iran money again, not money again, freeing up their money that was frozen from sanctions forever. They've been under sanctions since like the 70s, right? Because they won't say Israel has a right to exist, right? So when they always talk about the repression in Iran and the religious, the extremists in that country, why? Nobody asks why. Like, are they born that way? There's no ancient hate towards Israel, the Muslims and Jews. There's no ancient hate. You know what I'm saying? They never really mixed. You know, this whole thing is like the Christians and the Muslims had a problem. The Crusades, right? That had nothing to do with Jewish people. All right, so let's go to the first video.
Tortured to death. Tortured to death? Absolutely. So an iconic orthopedic surgeon who I didn't know well, but I had met, and in fact I had coffee with him in May 2023. He was tortured to death, and in fact a Sky television investigative journalist interviewed fellow detainees and did a some remarkable investigative journalism. This is all in public domain, and described how this surgeon's mode of torture was being raped to death. He'd been serially raped on a daily basis for 2 weeks prior to his dying. His body's never been returned.
So that's like a constant story of being raped, and the rape is not like you thinking they're having sex. They're doing this with broomsticks. They're doing it with objects, and they're doing it consistently. And I think they're doing that to show that these people aren't human. They're doing that to show everyone else, if you come against Israel, this is what happens to you. There's just too many stories to think that it's not happening. And we're going to stick right there. We're going to stick with Zionism because that's a big thing right now. I think we need to understand exactly who we're dealing with.
Tortured to death.
Tortured to death. I think we all remember the apartment complex that just mysteriously building 7 into rubble in
wasn't hit by a plane.
In North Miami. That was in Val Harbor. That happened on the same night that John McAfee died.
Wow.
And it's believed that he had an apartment or information stored in this one little apartment in Val Harbor. When that apartment building collapsed, they didn't let American response teams or like emergency teams do all the digging. Jake, I'm not even kidding. Go look this up. They literally brought in the IDF to dig through the rubble.
Way.
Dude, it's Ron DeSantis had a whole ceremony where he was like patting the IDF on the back. He's like, thanks.
How can they rationalize this? How can they bring the IDF to handle American matters? This is insane.
Dude.
And that's what you like. This whole since getting involved with this and started to study, look at what's happened with the election and why we're in this situation, it just keeps coming up. IDF. Why is the IDF? Israeli Defense Force. Now they are the rescue force. They're the defense force, but they were allowed to or came over here to do what? Search through some rubble because they think it was some evidence that they needed to get to. I've heard a lot about. We know the IDF was going to the Situation Room and talk about the war with Netanyahu, the war with Iran, and there's no reason we're in this war. I keep saying they want more. We get nothing out of this situation. We're just there to provide cover for Iran, for Israel, while they carry out ethnic cleansing, possible genocide in Lebanon. Right? They're just bombing Lebanon to death. But the thing about that, too, is Hezbollah is definitely dishing it out towards them. They're using drones and they're killing a lot of IDF soldiers, as they should. As they should, because why are you in Lebanon? Right? Nobody's talking about the fact that Ukraine is defending itself against Russia on a daily basis. But we're okay with Israel going into Lebanon and taking their land. I don't know. Just make it make sense to me. Making me understand. I need an explanation, and I'm not getting one. I don't hear it. I don't hear why we have this relationship. Why we have this relationship with Israel, and why they're in our why there's so much in our politics and in our elections. They are dumping enough money into our elections to change. The outcome, and the outcome isn't for us; it's for them. I'm gonna talk about that too. I might do a special recording on Sunday to talk about that section 224, whatever section it is, about the Israel and our military integrating. Who is that for? Why nobody likes Israel? Why are we integrating with them? It doesn't make any sense to me. How do we benefit from that? How do we benefit from? And most of the world knows the truth about the IDF and Mossad and Israel, but we're going to have them more integrated into our military. So I don't know if this country has already been taken over. Or, you know what I mean? Like, am I going to wake up one day and the IDF or the Mossad's going to be at my door? Is my computer going to blow up? Or what's going to happen? Because that's how they deal with things.
Let's talk about anti-Semitism, shall we? I come from a family, my father's side, that was run out of Russia by pogroms and systematized anti-Jewish bigotry. That was anti-Semitism. hate and bigotry aimed at them solely because they were Jews. In 1957, the Klan bombed the Jewish Community Center across from where my dad grew up, as well as an elementary school in Nashville because they were mad about desegregation. They bombed the JCC because the head of the school board at the time was Jewish. That was anti-Semitism, hate and bigotry aimed at Jews because they were Jews. In 1981, a truck filled with Klan members as well as an FBI informant drove onto the grounds of my temple with a bomb, or what they thought was a bomb, looking to blow it up and kill everybody inside. Luckily, they were stopped. That was anti-Semitism, hate and bigotry aimed at Jews solely because we were Jews. Regularly in public school, I had teachers and administrators who told me I was going to hell, as would any Jew who didn't accept Jesus as their personal savior. That too was anti-Semitism, hate and bigotry aimed at Jews solely because we were Jews. When I worked in the campaigns against David Duke in 90 and 91 in Louisiana, we regularly had death threats called in by those who called us Jew bastards and worse. That was anti-Semitism, hate and bigotry aimed at us because some of us, myself included, were Jews. In the last 20 years, I've received anti-Jewish hate mail, phone calls, death threats, and in the last couple of years was marked for death by the Terrorgram Collective, which threatened to assassinate me and a couple of dozen other people around the country. Their leaders are currently either doing time or awaiting trial for their conspiracy to do that. That too was anti-Semitism in my case, threatening me because I was Jewish, threatening my life and the lives of my family. What is not anti-Semitism is challenging the idea that we as Jews deserve a state defined as ours above non-Jews who have an equal or greater claim to that land. What is not anti-Semitism is challenging the idea that Jewish nationalism is okay, even as we who say that would almost entirely reject white nationalism or Christian nationalism or any form of ethno-religious nationalism but our own. Some of us have dealt with real anti-Semitism all our lives, and we know the difference. Opposing special privileges for Jews as actually exist in Israel isn't anti-Semitic, it's anti-oppression, it's anti-injustice. And opposing those things is actually the Jewiest thing that I could possibly do.
So that's definitely something that needs to be addressed about the anti-Semitism. Like I said, I would never not dislike someone or hate somebody because they're Jewish at all. I wouldn't. I don't hate anyone because they're anything other than racist. If you're racist and hateful and very violent, I'm going to hate you. I'm not going to want anything to do with you. But if you're of a religion or ethnicity, I don't have an ethnicity that I automatically dislike. I don't. I like to meet the person and deal with the person because I like learning from other people, from other cultures, right? But what we have now is weaponization of a word, and we've heard it. If you've been watching my videos, you know I've pointed out we have had a weaponization of a word, how they will shut down a conversation if you're criticizing them, and they would just say anti-Semitic, or you're anti-Semitic, right? And that's just not fair. We don't have that in America. Like, you can't say like, if America's doing something and we say something, no, you're anti-American, and there's nothing like that. There's only one people on this earth, right? And it's because of the Holocaust that can do that, because we believe them to be special and a chosen people. I do not know why Germany initially did that to them. It was anti-Semitic, right? When they started it, because I've seen the pictures and what they were talking about. They were being anti-Semitic. So if they want to lean into that, then they need to understand that if we're not going to fall for it anymore, first of all, we're going to talk about the truth about what we see and not do conspiracy theories, right? If you have settlers in the West Bank that are settling illegally, but the UN or these sponsor countries, Britain, or won't do anything about it, that's wrong. That's wrong. And you're getting away with it, and you're getting bolder in your actions to the point where you're now openly doing genocide. Openly doing genocide. Go to the next video. And that was Tim Wise. He definitely, the way he laid it out was correct, right? I remember seeing, like, when you was looking at if you ever researched or watched the biography about the Germany in the 30s, They were definitely doing the picture, the devil, the money, all that kind of stuff was what they were doing to, what's it called? Demonize the Jews in Germany. That's what they were using to make them to be evil. Now, I don't know anything else other than that. I don't know anything else to how they were living or what was happening with them in Germany, other than that was wrong. And then what happened, the genocide was wrong. But then you don't get to go out and do your own genocide and do your own thing against other people. And you talk about the Palestinians as if they don't exist. And all they're doing is trying to exist in their land.
It is so easy for people to just hear the numbers and not realize that every single one of those numbers, there's a human being attached to every single one of those numbers. Like a human being that at some point somebody loved and cared for and found joy being around and watched, laugh or smile maybe. The most shocking thing is that these numbers can be reported in our media and everybody can be aware of the staggering amount of children that have been killed, are missing, displaced, suffering psychological problems, and nothing is being done about it. Please, if you are able to, become a paid subscriber to Palestine Deep Dive. It is more important now than ever to support Palestinian journalism that is giving you an honest, real, and truthful representation of Palestinian life today.
Yeah, please support them if you can. I just realized I'm not recording this this live stream. It is like freaking me out. That's why I was smiling doing that video, because I realized I forgot to press the button. I need a producer. Or I need to be more. I need a checklist or something, because I can't believe I just looked. I'm glad I looked and saw that. I still couldn't get the video down from YouTube from the stream, but I can't believe I just did that. It's always gonna be a mistake. I think. All right, so yeah, definitely. Any I post the tags from everyone whose video that I'm showing. And I recommend that you follow them if you really want to, broaden your horizons, learn a bit more. Because, like I said before, if you're looking at mainstream media, you're not getting the whole story, and that's probably why. My perspective changed because I know that this has never been told to us in this way, right? We just accepted it and kind of like brushed it off, and now we're at a point now that most of our politicians are paid by AIPAC, and they support Israel over our country. There are laws on the books in this country and England, other countries too, where anti-Semitism is against the law, right? How do they define anti-Semitism is the problem, right? If you can't talk about anything, if you can't criticize a country and what they do, how can you, correct the behavior or come against them? Like I said, we have the illegal settlements in the West Bank, and they just don't do anything about it, right? We know why in this country, the lobby, I don't know, it must be the same thing in London too, in England too, because the money flows. The money flows. Yeah.
This video is probably going to get taken down, but I really don't give a damn. Today we're discussing how Birthright Israel is quite literally a form of Jewish eugenics. Now, all of us are probably familiar with Birthright Israel, a 10-day free trip that Jews from around the world can take with their hotel, airfare, and 2 meals a day paid for. And aside from indoctrinating these young Jews, there's another reason why Birthright exists that people do not talk about. Population. Israel's total Jewish population, including the illegal settlers in the Palestinian West Bank, is 8.5 million. The Palestinian population in the West Bank, Gaza Strip, and in Israel itself is 7.7 million. What this means is that from the river to the sea, Palestinians are 47.5% of the population, while Israeli Jews are 52.5% of the population. And if you wish to preserve a Jewish state where Jews are the majority, this presents a major demographic threat. Enter Birthright Israel. Only Jews aged 18 to 26 years old are allowed to attend this trip. Why? Because the younger they are, the higher chance they can successfully have children. Secondly, by having Jews from around the world, especially American citizens, come to Israel on this trip, they provide a pipeline for them to increase their Jewish population despite the fact that Palestinian families have more children than Israeli families. And that's why at the end of my Birthright trip, they provided us with two options. One, to fly back home. Or two, stay in occupied Palestine and become an Israeli citizen under the law of return. And here's a sweater that I bought on Birthright, and as you can tell, the West Bank and Gaza Strip are wiped off the map. But this shouldn't surprise you. I've said this before and I'll say it again. What better way to increase the Jewish population of Israel? Gathering tens of thousands of young Jews aged 18 to 26 every single year, giving them an all-expenses-paid 10-day trip, letting them drink alcohol, and mingle amongst the strong, sexy IDF soldiers protecting them for their entire trip. I'll let you put the pieces of the puzzle together.
So we need to understand that, right? Like, it's a whole marketing campaign going on, and how they want to populate their country. And you see they wiped out. There's already been a report also of Apple on their maps already wiping the line about changing the borders, right? The borders no longer include the West Bank or Gaza. They're wiped out. Now there's all Israel. So when Israel when the Jews were settled into Palestine, they were supposed to be partitioned, and the Palestinians supposed to get their part. The Israelis supposed to get that part. Israel would not accept the land that they were given, and that's why they were attacked, and that's what started all this off. The Palestinians are Muslim. They are religions actually, but they objected to I want to say Israeli, the Jews, not accepting what they were given. They wanted it all, and that's what started it off. And it's still been going on to this day. And the only reason why they're still there this day is because America supports them. And America supports them because they've taken over our government. You can't tell me that it's not. You can't tell me that it's not. You can't tell me that it's not. There's too much money. There's too much money. There's too many candidates who will not call what we saw in Gaza a genocide, or who will not say anything bad about Israel. There's just too many. And I don't even know why they have that opinion. This information that I'm seeing is available to everyone now. It's not, because you're not relying on and I know they hate it too. We don't have to rely on just the mainstream media to show us the truth. The truth is just out there. You just have to want to see it and accept it. That's the hard part, right? Because it's been going on for a long time, and we don't know how deep they are in our government.
In this country, we talk a lot about white supremacy and how that's a problem. Actually, anytime we talk about race, people say white supremacist, white supremacist, white supremacist. You're allowed to talk about that. Talk about black supremacists. We talk about every race supremacist. Almost every race. In the Epstein files, in the communications with Jeffrey Epstein and his friends, Jeffrey Epstein and his network, the billionaires and people with power that are in charge of this country, either directly or indirectly, what we have seen clearly is that they are Jewish supremacists. Period. They refer to people as goy or goyim. They talk about things that say that rules for us, not for them, ha 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 ha. This is a running joke within all their emails. This is the one thing that the Epstein files has made clear. And you know what? The reason that they're able, Jeffrey Epstein and his network, the reason that they're able to do the horrific things that they have done is because they don't consider the people that they're doing it to human. Because Jewish supremacy is a thing. And I don't know why this did not hit the news.
That's
It
what I'm
is
saying.
clearly the most important part of the entire Epstein files, that it's real, that they speak like this, that they act like this, that they think like this, and that these people are still in charge. Nobody cared. I know a lot of white supremacists. Actually, don't mind that much. You guys want America to be white, and you want white people to stay white and white, whatever. Dude, I don't fucking care. Do you? I know black supremacists. Oh, we're black and black power and black whatever. Do you guys? That's fine. Doesn't bother me. I know a bunch of Jewish supremacists. They're in banking. They're in finance. They're in law. And they know what they are. They don't care either. You're allowed to be a supremacist for your race all you want. I think that's actually fine. What's wrong is that you can't point it out. We're allowed to point out white supremacists all the damn time. We're allowed to criticize them all the damn time. But then Jewish supremacists like, no, that's anti-Semitic. Why? It's like a real thing. All Jews know it. It's not a surprise to anybody, but why can't you talk about it?
So this is something that you see actually if you pay attention to like what's happening in New York right now with Madami. You see tomorrow, I think this weekend is the Israel Day Parade. That's what they do in New York a lot. Madami said he's not going to attend. I understand why he's not going to attend, but then to see the way the Jewish people in New York talk about Madami, they're saying they want to deport him to Uganda. The people who voted for Madami love Madami. He has done good for New York since he's been in the office. What they're upset about, I don't know. They don't really name anything that they're upset about. They're saying they're not going to be free. They're talking about, because they don't think that a Muslim should be the mayor of New York because he doesn't recognize their superiority. And when you see how they act at the some of the demonstrations they're doing, some of the protests they're saying, and the things they say, and the way they act, you see the way they believe they're better than everyone. I don't agree with what he said about everyone should have their supremacy, but I understand what he was saying about we don't really talk about Jewish supremacy. Right, we don't mention that because in the book somewhere is written that they are the chosen people, that they feel that they could do whatever they want, and everyone else just has to suffer the consequences for that. So it's real. I mean, if you haven't seen it, you can see it. I don't have any here. I probably should, but I don't have any of it. But the protest. The videos from the protest in front of the mayor's house in New York was disgusting. It's disgusting. And the only problem I have with it is they aren't really saying anything other than just deport him. They don't name nothing he's done against against Israel, against Judaism. They don't say anything he's done. They just say he needs to leave and he's bad for New York. That's all they say. When the people that voted for New York, what he's doing with the stores, the rent, taking care, making sure people fix their buildings and not be slumlords, that's all good, and people like it and love it. And he balanced the budget, and he's taxing the rich. But the only thing that they see, he's a Muslim. He shouldn't be the mayor. Point blank. That's what it's all about. There's nothing else. And and the things that he's accomplishing should be shaming the mayor. Cuomo, what's the last guy? He was so bad. Schmidt, whatever his name is, I don't even know his name. But the previous black mayor, he was a mess. And he was a policeman. That's what's weird to me. The New Yorkers know how corrupt their police are, and the fact that they voted for a policeman is just weird to me. Doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So this is going to be stupid. The next video is going to be dumb because this is really going to point out how anybody that joins the team with President Trump, be on his administration, his regime, is crazy because there's so many people that went to jail. After the first term, so many people ended up jail. Rudolph Giuliani ended up broke, disbarred, can't work for himself, and in the hospital begging for insurance. That's how people end up that work in the regime, but they still don't care. They still do it, and for some reason you think he's not gonna throw you under the bus. He's your friend. The man is transactional. If you're out of power and you can do nothing for him, he don't have nothing for you. You know what I'm saying? Like he's not gonna come to your rescue. He's not visiting Rudy Giuliani in the hospital. I'm very sure of that. So whatever you think you're gonna get, you're not gonna get it. You're not gonna get it at all. You're gonna get thrown under the bus. And this is just a video highlighting this moment. This is pretty funny to watch, actually.
Pete, I think you were the first one to speak up, and you said, "Let's do it."
Pete, I think you were the first one to speak up, and you said, "Let's do it."
Now, if I was Pete Hegseth, I'd be worried about going to jail. I mean, he's already done enough war crimes on his own. It's pretty much guaranteed that after it's going to start if the Democrats, because it's not guaranteed that the Democrats will win the midterms, because it's a lot of them just as bad as MAGA, and they're compromised. A lot of them are very, very compromised with the AIPAC, and it needs to come out. I'm gonna always talk about that because we can lose, and a lot of them I don't think they're fully understand how people are learning about and coming to grips with the fact that a lot of our elections have been affected or influenced by AIPAC money that supports Israel, just so they can have a pro-Israel candidate who, once they get into the Congress, they will vote that way. They will vote to keep the money coming. They will vote to keep the weapons coming, and then they'll even vote for a bill that's going to integrate their military, their IDF, the Israeli Defense Force, with our military. I don't even understand that. I don't understand it at all. I can't even fathom. I'm having a hard time understanding why this is even a thing. Why it's a thing, other than we've allowed ourselves to be manipulated. And I admit it, I was manipulated. I did not really do my due diligence, and I sat there and I tried to just accept that, Israel's right. It should be there. They need a homeland, all that kind of stuff. But not really understanding what that meant or what that means to the people that are there. Hold on one second. I'm just taking a look at the next video. I'm going to switch gears. Because I don't want, I try not to really have these tapings, these broadcasts be so Israeli focused on the situation. But because our elections are coming up, and because we have so many elected officials who may not really be there to work for us, that it's hard to not really talk about it. It's something that needs to be talked about more and more and more, because even the people, even the people that are supposedly on our side, not really being affected by it, don't talk about it. Like, we need to understand that all the stuff that we're seeing now on independent media, on social media, has always been out there, but our mainstream media, our news channels, 60 Minutes, CBS, ABC, all these shows, CNN, don't talk about it and didn't talk about it. Why? Why was it such a hard thing to say when we see babies being destroyed? We got to say, remember October 7th, right? And when you say anything bad about what they're doing, October 7th, or Hamas needs to be destroyed, all these things, and they're killing children, dropping bombs, blowing up schools, hospitals, because they say Hamas is using the hospital. So you must destroy, or you're going to destroy Hamas. And they're still bombing Gaza, by the way, fellas. They're still bombing Gaza to the day. And that's just something that's there. It's something that's there and we have to deal with. Right now we're going to switch gears a little bit. And we're going to talk about what's going on in this country right now. We know that the billionaires are pretty much in charge, and this is really going to look like the Hunger Games. I don't really talk about the economy that much because it's coming. There's nothing really to talk about. Our economy was strong before now, but it can only stay afloat for so long once you kick the fundamentals out, and the fundamentals have been kicked out from underneath it, and it's gonna crash. If you like my age, I've been here. I've been through the first Republican crash. I've been through the recessions. It's always under the Republicans because they are ideological and they cannot do things that are practical and make sense. They do all the stuff that was done with the DEI and the firing people and the Doge didn't make sense. It wasn't planned out. And I fault the Democrats too. All these people, I fault all the independent media and the media because they kept saying, yes, we're all concerned about government waste. But this isn't the way to do it. Don't give them anything. Yeah, we know that Iran is a danger. They're the number one sponsor of terror. They shouldn't have. Won't have a nuclear bomb. Iran has never bombed anybody with a nuclear weapon. The only country that has used a nuclear weapon is the United States. So why does the United States have nuclear? I would not trust the United States not to blow up someone before I would trust Iran with. Like I don't have. North Korea has a nuclear weapon. Who have they bombed? Pakistan, India. Who have they bombed? Europe. Europe. There's nuclear weapons in Europe. Russia has nuclear weapons. Who have they bombed? Pakistan, North Korea, India, Pakistan, Israel. Who they won't even ask them if they have nuclear bombs, has nuclear weapons. Who have they bombed? I'm more worried about Israel than anybody else. And tell me why we trust them with the nuclear weapons when they won't even sign the deal. They won't even sign to the treaty, the non-proliferation treaty. They just don't admit they have them. Why are they allowed to do that? I don't know. Somebody needed to tell me why. I know why. I mean, the Epstein files, all this stuff was going on, and they're like Mossad. They are gangsters, man. I think our country's scared of them. To be honest with you. Because they just will go ahead and kill you. They don't really have any reason not to. I mean, what are they trying to do? Survive. Yeah. So let's look at this country and what's going on.
If you've ever swiped a food stamp card and held your breath waiting for it to clear, this one's for you. Starting in 2027, that card's going to get a whole lot lighter. And it isn't because the country ran out of food. It's because the people running your state ran out of money. On purpose. Here's what happened. Since 2021, 26 states cut their own income taxes, mostly for their richest folks. Republican governors called it a win. The money was supposed to trickle down. It didn't. Now those same states have empty pockets. And Trump just signed a law shoving the cost of feeding hungry families onto their backs. So the bill comes due. North Carolina is still digging out from Hurricane Helene, and they've already lost about $1 billion from their own tax cuts. Oklahoma's own Republican state senator said food stamps and Medicaid might have to be eliminated. In a country where 1 in 8 people uses that card to eat. This is the Republican billionaire plan, and it isn't a secret anymore. Cut every entitlement. That includes the food on your table. They want you self-employed, racing other broke folks to the bottom, fighting for scraps from people who can barely afford the delivery. Right. The billionaire got his tax cut. You got the receipt.
Now, what you want to really think about that? There's a list of states that this is going to affect bad, and they're like, not my state, but Arizona, North Carolina, Oklahoma, Kentucky, Mississippi, Missouri, Georgia, Iowa, Indiana, Ohio, Nebraska, Arkansas, South Carolina, West Virginia. Those are some poor states. And they're people are already getting hungry. Now, why would you do that? Why would you tell people that you're not going to feed them if they're hungry? Like we already have, and they're talking about fraud, and there's a video out this week of Stephen Miller sitting next to J.D. Vance having a meeting about fraud, and Stephen Miller out of his mouth saying that, if you don't even have to, they don't even check. You just come to the office, say, I'm hungry, I have kids, and they just give you money. There's no verification process, there's nothing, and that's a lie. That's a lie. They have certification. I've never gotten EBT myself, but I know people who have, and they have to go through certification. They verify if you have kids. Are you buying food? They verify your income. That's a lie that he said on TV in the White House at a meeting on fraud that anybody who just asked for it gets a check. They don't get checks anymore. They get EBT card, but that's how they're working. They're working under the assumption that we're stupid. Always, we're stupid, and what they're saying is true, but it's easily verifiable. It's easy to verify that they're lying, and why they don't want to. And I don't know why they don't want to feed people who are hungry. I don't know why they don't understand that some people in these states, because they don't. The minimum wage is low. Military people are on food stamps. People that are working for Walmart are on food stamps because they don't want to pay a living wage. And then to lie and say that you just have to show up and just say, I need food stamps because my kids are hungry, and nobody's going to verify if you got kids. That's a lie. That's a lie. And that's what we get from this regime. Nothing but lies all day long. Stay with the stay with the where am I going now? I think I'm gonna stay right here with the billionaire lies and just keep going with that with our next video. If I can get back to my notes, they ain't gonna let me back. All right, I'm here now. So that, I don't know if you saw that. I think when I heard it first, I wanted to include that in this recording. I didn't. So I must apologize for that. But it's a serious. You can look it up. He definitely said that, and it definitely was a lie. There is no state in this country where you can just get on the phone and say, I'm hungry, I need to get food stamps, and they just give it to you. They don't verify anything you said. So I want to know, if you think about that, like, if you think about that, and they just call up and say, I got kids, do everybody get the same amount on a check? Or is the check graduated? Like, if you say I got 5 kids, you get more money? Or they don't even verify if you got 5 or 10 kids? Is it just like a blank? It doesn't even make any sense. It makes no sense in what he's saying. But then there are people out here that believe it. And they believe that if you if you're falling on hard times, you shouldn't eat. Or we shouldn't feed you, and that's not something I believe in. I believe if you fall on hard times, like I'm on hard times right now, but I have family to help me out. But if I didn't, it's good to know that there's a safety net. And the hard times that I'm going through, some of it's my fault, but definitely believe that I'm grateful that there's something here for me, and the fact that if there wasn't anything here for me, that would be really hard. And it's hard for me to think about people who are going hungry tonight just because we decided to give tax breaks to billionaires who don't need it, who don't even need it. That's just something I have to deal with. So we're gonna stay right in this line and go to the next video. And this is going to be unusual.
Hello, my friends. 2 roommates went shopping on a Saturday. How's that for a start? They paid their 10 cents. They got on the bus. They sat down in the only 2 empty available seats. Those seats happened to be in the front of the bus, the white section. Their names were Wilhelmina Jakes and Carrie Patterson, 2 young black students at Florida A&M University in Tallahassee, Florida, in 1956. The bus driver told him to move back. They said no. So he drove to a gas station and called the police. 3 squad cars showed up for 2 college women on a shopping trip. The 2 were arrested, charged with placing themselves in a position to incite a riot. That night, someone burned a cross in the front yard of the house where they rented rooms. They went shopping. They came home to fire and hatred on their lawn. The police weren't there to protect them. The police were the threat. So what would you do? Well, here's what they did. Here's what happened next. The word spread across campus overnight. The next morning, the student body president called a meeting, cross-campus meeting, all 2,300 students. They voted to boycott the city buses immediately. Then came Reverend C.K. Steele, this pastor who had been preaching since he was 15 years old, who showed up at the women's door, looked them in the eye, and he said, the NAACP stands with you. He called a community-wide meeting. The vote to join the students was unanimous, not a single voice against. And then this small cluster of people started to grow. The Inner Civic Council built a citywide carpool so that Black residents could get to work without riding a single bus. Ministers, mothers, workers, professors, students, an unlikely coalition bound together by 7 words on a banner that became their slogan: I would rather walk in dignity than ride in humiliation. For 7 months, Black Tallahassee walked. The bus company that was losing its main customers edged toward collapse on December 22nd, 56. The Supreme Court ruled that segregation on city buses was unconstitutional. It started with 2 roommates on a Saturday shopping trip. 2 young women who didn't plan a movement. They just refused to stand up by staying seated. You don't have to have a platform. You don't have to have a plan. Sometimes history just needs you to sit down and say no. So what are you willing to sit still for? And I'll be back.
So other than I like her presentation, I follow her on Instagram, but that's 1956. I was born in 1966, and we still are facing the same situations now, and that's kind of relevant at this point now, especially with what's happening now and the just the sheer amount of racism that we see, and now there's a call for athletes to stop playing in their schools, but that's a big sacrifice for the athletes. But I'm saying, like, it's up to you to decide what you want to fight for. This has been our fight since 19 whatever. That was 1956, right? To ride on a bus, you couldn't sit in the front, and now it's 2026, and it's the same situation. Yeah, we can sit on the bus anywhere we want to go, but we're still being attacked by just by being in different places and saying we shouldn't be there. It's still happening. And then now they're saying that the athletes should hit them and not go to their schools. That's up to them. It's going to be a sacrifice because you're not going to get the amount of money that you would make by playing in some of these big prestigious schools. I watch no sports. I'm out of it. I checked out a long time ago, especially after Kaepernick. I was like done. The devil. And then you got this young man who's a quarterback and for the Giants, and he decided to be at a rally for Trump, and you don't understand why he got the backlash. You got the backlash because of the history that you don't want to know and you don't want to accept or believe. If you don't see that Trump is racist, then you're racist. This is all there is to it. If you don't see that MAGA is racist, then you're racist. That's all there is to it. Like that story that we just heard about 2 women trying to sit in the front of the seat that they call the police, and then have crosses burned on their lawn. That could be today. It happens today. They do. People are accosted by white people every day because you're in the wrong place. I guess for me, because I've lived in white neighborhoods all my life, I guess I just look mean because I ain't never had an issue. Because I never lived down south. The only time I lived down south was when I went to school in Alabama. But I don't know. I just never had that issue. And I just say I have a resting, I'm going to fuck you up face. Because I don't talk to me. Do not talk to me. Leave me alone. And that's just how I carry it. But it could happen. I wouldn't be shocked. Oh, wait, let me take it back. And this might be a little school thing. There was one incident. I lived in Manassas. I shouldn't, you know what? I forget about that time. Then my first marriage, I lived in Manassas. Manassas, there's a battlefield. It's South. It's Civil War. It's a racist place. We bought a house in Manassas. And I used to catch the commuter bus because it's way outside of D.C. We moved because it's less expensive to live out there. So you have to catch them. I worked in D.C., then I worked in Tyson's. And so to get to the commuter lot, I would walk over there to the community lot, and I would cut through this shopping center. And one day, this little white kid stopped calling me nigga and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a little kid, right? Like, I'm not gonna smack a little kid, but I'm like, oh, okay, this the racism. And I forgot, like, it happened, and I forgot to even, log it in my head, but that did happen. And then another incident happened while I was getting ready to go up in somebody's house. We lived in a townhouse, and everybody was pretty cool, but we was majority white, of course. And somebody said something to my daughter, and she came in and said something to me, and I went outside. All I could see was red. You know what I'm saying? Do not talk to my daughter. Period. And I got that straight. Now, because it didn't make any sense to me. Like, we're neighbors. Like, you're not gonna have this happen, and we're neighbors, right? We're gonna have to get this straight now. Like, I'm not the person that's gonna live in and this happened another one where I have an apartment with black people. I'm not gonna live in and have an antagonistic nature with a neighbor. We're gonna deal with this right now. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna deal with this right now. You gonna move, I'm gonna move, or somebody going to jail. That's it. And I ain't going to jail for no violence. So, but that's just the thing that we have to deal with. And this was 1956, and they trying to say that it's post-racism and we played a race card. The race card is played on us. We just called it out. You just don't want to believe it. And the fact that if you don't see the racism from this MAGA and this administration, you're just racist. That's all there is to it. And you can accept it or not. I don't care. I'm not gonna argue with you. You are racist. Okay, so let's go on with the next one. I think I'm all over the place a little bit. Like, I think I am all over the place because I really want to talk about the Democrats, but the Democrats ain't doing nothing. I don't know why they're not doing anything, but they aren't. So this is we're gonna talk about data centers in this next video because it's a problem. I talked about at the beginning of this recording about how data centers are very hot, right? And I heard on a video I was watching earlier in this week about how somewhat. This guy who's AI, because there's a lot of anti-AI videos. A lot of people who are developers, they talk about this whole thing. It's a mess. It's this money that they're trying to put in. I don't think they're going to recoup it. I don't think they can recoup it. It's not sustainable. It's a lie. It's a bubble. It's going to pop. Like, I was in a .com bubble, and that popped, and we had to lay people off. Same thing. Because all they see is the money, and the money that the numbers that you see being thrown out as far as valuations. They're doing like swaps for money. Like, they're not really getting the money. They're saying like, we're gonna pay this money at this time, and then they have to raise money. There's no guarantee that they're gonna get that money back because the capacity isn't there. Most people are not using AI. Most people are using chatbots. Like the Chat GP3, but most of them are just using it for free. They aren't paying for it. They're just using it for free because they want to hook you on using it. But the whole point, what you're using it for, most people could just not use it anymore. I had an incident where I had to pay for some Google Gemini to do something I want to do. I'm like, nah, I'll figure out another way. Because everything that I do now with this podcast, with work and other projects I do, I've been doing that manually forever. With graphics and all that kind of stuff. I know how to do that stuff manually, but if you're gonna allow me to use your AI to get it done, I'm gonna use that. Am I gonna pay for it? No, for what? I don't have to. Sometimes it's actually even easier to do it, and AI has been shown has made mistakes. I've had to do 2 or 3 prompts to get the first prompt correct because it made sense what I was saying. You just did it yesterday, but then you can't do the same thing. That's what AI is. That's what AI is. You cannot trust the output. It's going to be different. And I've had to actually be completely wrong. And it corrected itself, but it never told me why I was wrong. So you can't trust it. So if you want to trust it, and then now the billing is like, they hadn't been actually billing people correctly. And now they need to start billing people correctly because they need to start showing income. And once they start getting billed correctly, the money is like, wait a minute, it's easier just to pay a developer. That's what's happening, right? All these people saying they're laying off people for AI and that's not true. They're letting out people because the economy sucks. And then they actually have to hire people back because they didn't. Yeah, you have to thoughtfully, because I've been working with automation and people want to automate workflows for a while, and I've been in those projects, and it's very time consuming, and it takes time. You can't fire a person from doing a job until you know it works, and you really might not need to fire them. Maybe you want to keep them to watch the process because the process can break down. It's which with Salesforce. That's what happened with Salesforce, because the agents still have to interface with people at one point, and if the agent doesn't get the feedback that it needs in a timely manner to something, what's it gonna do? It's gonna maybe try to do it itself or come up with another way to do it. I don't know. You figure it out. But basically, I don't think, I've been saying this from the very beginning, it's not sustainable. And they think about this water, and one of the guys was saying that the water issue, if they do closed systems, meaning that they load all the water they need into their system at one point, and then they use it, and then they're just, the water is a closed system, so they don't need any new water. So they need a whole lot of water in the system, because I was trying to think about the engineering myself earlier. As far as the water has to go through this, the water has to go into the system to cool down the computers, the chips, the memory, everything. It has to cool those down because they blow up. They really get hot. Like you will be if you're having in a computer room or like a data center and the AC goes off, it gets hot very fast. And sometimes even with that, I've been in like some server rooms with chillers, with real chillers, keeping the room, and it still got hot because I'm working directly behind the system, doing punch downs or something like that, and it's still hot, from the work, but it's not really cool. There's enough cooling for the systems, but if you're in there working, the systems are still blowing hot. Like you're still around the system, they're still hot. So, and just like I said, multiply that times a million, right? And I don't know how these closed systems work. They other than like China has them in the ocean. That makes sense to me because it's definitely cold in the ocean. Just put the whole data center in the ocean. That makes sense. And then power it off. They're doing it slowly and they're thinking about it because they aren't really trying to get like profit right away. The only thing that these guys care about, the Sam Altmans, the Elon Musks, the Claude guys, they're just thinking about the money, right? They just want to make the money anyway. So they're going to lie, right? And say, yeah, we got this in a closed system. We only need the water once. We take a whole lot of water one time and that's it. That's not true. I don't know. Because I've been trying to think about it. Do you put the water, because the water comes off, it gets hot. The cooler system, it draws the heat out of the computers. It has to go, you pump it out and bring in new water. But if it's a closed system, that means you're holding a lot of water somewhere for it to cool down, because you can't use more electricity to cool that water down. So it just needs to cool down on its own. But you still need water running through the system at all time. So there's a lot of water in that closed system. And I don't know if that can run indefinitely. I really need to look into the engineering on that and see how that works, because I don't think a closed system works well. Because they aren't all the systems closed. No, they're taking the water. This is a mess. It's a mess. And then is it worth it? And that's the problem. The build out. Is it worth it? Like I said, unless there's a lot of government money coming into it, these numbers don't make sense. And there is a lot of government money coming into it. The surveillance state, sometimes doing this really gets kind of disheartening, because you like, I can't ignore what I see. And then like now when I'm realizing that the Democrats are really compromised and they really aren't the fighters who we think they are, and they kind of let all this happen. Like Merrick Garland, he had the perfect chance to prosecute Trump, and he didn't. And now we have to deal with Trump. Like that's real. That means he's a Democrat. He didn't see the need to do what needed to be done to get this man out of the system. and really help make him pay for his crimes because they were afraid or something. I don't know what it is, or they were compromised. That's one thing I can think of. And they may be scared, or they may just be compromised. All right, so we're gonna play this video. It's about data centers, and it's important. It's about the water. They're building too many data centers too fast without knowing if it's gonna pay off. Because once it's there, it's just there, and it needs to be used. And there's just a lot of variables that they aren't accounting for. Like, do people really want to use it? We already know that Copilot is pretty much a disaster for Microsoft. No one's using it. No one's paying for it. Anytime I've used it or been around it, and it makes Windows look crappy. It's a crappy experience.
Guys, and check this out right here. This is Macrocheles apalachicola, or the Apalachicola alligator snapping turtle. One of the threatened species that live here in the state of Georgia, where data centers are springing up all over the place, and the water usage that these data centers will require will absolutely decimate the populations of prey that these turtles need. Alligator snappers need freshwater clams, mollusks, and snails that depend upon clean, cool water. So if these data centers are eating up millions of gallons of water a day, these turtles are going to suffer in the end. And they're just one species out of tons that are going to have the same fate. And I think I speak for everybody. When amazing animals just like this share our state, it would be a shame to lose them.
I just like seeing young black men doing that kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? Like that I used to, when I was a kid, I used to have squirrels and, not squirrels, I'm sorry, turtles, frogs, salamanders. I would catch all that stuff. I have never caught a squirrel that big, and snapping turtles, I've seen them scare me to death. I've never seen a turtle that large out in the open, and I'm not picking them up. Now, if you go to his handler was there, if you go to his site, he did say he had permits. He was allowed to pick that turtle up. Because that was one thing I was concerned about. Was he allowed to pick that turtle up? Now, that's what's happening you dump a data center in the middle of farmland or a desert and start sucking the water up and increasing the heat, because they are known to increase heat. And they're running some of these data centers off of diesel generators and gas turbines. That affects the air quality. The water is not there. So this will have an impact on the earth. Now, is the impact on the earth worth it for the average human being? Most likely not, right? In some instances, LLMs can be well. If I haven't heard about it, I have yet to hear about AI solving cancer or any major breakthrough from the use of AI. I haven't heard about it. I haven't. So if it's not curing cancer, what is it doing? Making money for somebody. And like I'm saying, if it was some kind of philanthropic or they're just trying to do something to better the world, like the people that created Linux, open system, open source, which was OpenAI was supposed to be open source, and then for nonprofit, once they saw the money potential, oh no, we gotta get this money, and then like all bets are off. Like, we don't care about turtles. What they got to do with anything? Or maybe they think the AI will save the turtle. I don't know. It's not. It's just an open thing for me. And then to see like even this regime even want to they want to prosecute and go after people who talk about AI in a bad way or data centers in a bad way. And then there are municipalities, towns, areas that don't want data centers, then they're being shoved down their throat. And it is significant when you put a data center in your area. If you haven't seen one, go see. Just if you know what some data centers are, go see what they look like. Just big buildings, a lot of generators, and a lot of cooling. And it's just like, what is no windows, no nothing. It's just a big building with very few people coming in and out of, but sucking up a lot of electricity and water though. If you have a New York City, opening up a data center that uses the same electricity as New York City, but not increasing the power generation is not wise. I don't know why we're trying to do it. So yeah, let's save the turtles, man. I like seeing that. Keep doing that. I love seeing like young dudes really like I don't know if would I pick that turtle up. I don't think so, but it's good seeing. It's good seeing that. I really do. I thought it was unique, and I don't think I would have picked that turtle up. I don't think I could pick that turtle up, not at this age. I think we gotta deal with something else, and what we're getting ready to deal with next is not what I think it is. Hold on one second. Oh wow. Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure why I have this in this section. We're just gonna play the video.
Did we invade Venezuela so that Israel could have its oil? Popular MAGA influencer Gunther Eagleman, pictured here, delicately enjoying a banana, reported on Trump's interview on Fox News about Venezuelan oil, where Trump stated, "The good thing is we've made a fortune with their oil." While in truth, large amounts of Venezuelan crude has shipped to Israel's Bizan refinery in Haifa, marking the first shipment of oil since the country cut diplomatic relations with Israel in 2009. Please follow for the news about the news that pushed the truth out in the open.
Now, did you know that Venezuelan oil was being shipped to Israel? That's what I'm saying. Like, it's too much. The Maduro, where's Maduro? Where is he? Where's going on with that trial? Have you heard anything? I haven't heard anything about Maduro and his wife. Are they still in jail? Are they still alive? I don't know. I thought we had a speedy trial. Like, he's not supposed to be like, I don't know, the man. But basically, Venezuela was sanctioned. Like, they couldn't sell oil on the open market because the United States decided that, hey, the United States decided to do whatever they want to do, and you can't do it. I don't know why. I don't even care why they couldn't do it. But they were sanctioned. They couldn't sell oil, but they were sneak selling oil to China, Russia, and they were also giving oil to Cuba because Cuba was on sanctions. So now that the United States decided that, they had to go get Maduro out and take over their oil supply, now oil is going from Venezuela to Israel. Now, the Gulf, they're shipping oil. They're shipping oil from South America to the Gulf. Because Israel can't buy oil or don't want to buy oil or unable to buy oil from the countries that are next door because they're constantly at war with the countries next door. So I guess did Israel come up with a good idea? Say, you know what? We could use some of that oil. And now Israel is tied up in the conflict or whatever happened in Venezuela. It benefited Israel. Didn't benefit us because he said they make. Did you understand what I'm saying about he? Did you hear the part where he said, Trump said, we're making a fortune? We're making a fortune. That's not our oil. That is Venezuelan oil. They should be making a fortune. Why is the United States involved in it at all? It's just another plan. It's just another plan for them to make money. It's another grift. Just another grift. And the grift doesn't benefit the American people. This grift doesn't benefit. I'm sure it benefits Trump in some way, but it also benefits Israel. Right? I'm sure that Cuba could use that oil, and also China was using that oil too, and Russia. Like I said, I don't. But China is another country that could buy their own oil. I don't understand why they were on sanctions. I never understood why Venezuela. I've been to Venezuela. I understand that there is some poverty there. There's some poverty there. It's a very very segregated society. But I don't think they should have been invaded, and I don't think that oil should be going to Israel, especially when there are other South American companies that could use the oil. They could pay for it, and they were willing to help them, especially Cuba. And we're finding out soon that we probably will be invading Cuba or doing something with Cuba. They're doing what they do, building up forces to attack Cuba. Just endless wars for whatever reason we don't know. We just hear. We just here. They do stuff, and we're just here. We don't really get to say yes or no to what's doing. And this whole thing about there may be a peace deal with Iran and giving Iran $300 billion or 24 billion or 300 million. And people are like, okay, and then they get another. The plan they're gonna have in place, it's not better than the one that was already in place, right? And it is hard to really think about the craziness that we are asked to accept as normal. Like there was a deal in place. They could have just expanded on that deal and then tried to bring Iran into the society as a member, as Kuwait, Iran, Iraq, those countries, and stop treating them because you hadn't beat them. You beat Iraq down to nothing, and then you want to do the same thing for Iran, but Iran ain't gonna having it. Iran been like they're waiting for this forever to happen. All right, so we're gonna do this one. This is gonna be another absurd case locally about vindictive prosecution. And this is the craziest thing that I heard. When I first heard it, I could not believe that, I believe that it's possible that he did it, but he just does it out in the open now to prosecute somebody who won a case against him. And then he used the DOJ. The DOJ is not the DOJ, it's the Department of Injustice. That's his and then he has his personal lawyer as the Attorney General. So therefore, that's just his own legal counsel. It's not for us. It's supposed to be for us, but it's not for us. It's for him. It's for the regime.
This is some bullshit coming from the Trump DOJ. What am I talking about? I'm talking about the news that the Trump DOJ has now launched a criminal investigation into E. Jean Carroll, the woman who has been brave enough to not only sue convicted felon Donald Trump, not once, but twice, and the brave woman who has kicked his ass, courtesy of her amazing lawyer, Roberta Kaplan, on two separate occasions, totaling in verdicts that include punitive damages, and those verdicts now exceed $88.3 million. But I digress, right? Trump has lost. He's lost at trial with two different verdicts. He's lost on the appellate court level. The Supreme Court of the United States hasn't taken up his appeals. So what has he resorted to? He's resorted to weaponizing his Department of Justice to go after his enemies and opponents. And if there's anybody who fucking pisses him off, it's my dear friend, E. Jean Carroll. So, as I've co-opted this phrase, and as I've shared with many of you already, I have an obligation to be truthful, but I don't have an obligation to be neutral. At a time when a sitting president of the United States can weaponize his Department of Justice to go after his political and otherwise enemies and opponents, I have an obligation to be truthful, but not neutral.
That's right.
So I'm not going to be neutral, but I am going to tell you why the legal maneuvering here is bullshit.
So you want to think about that, right? He's suing E. Jean Carroll, the person that sued. He's not suing. He's trying to criminally prosecute the person that successfully sued him and won $83 million that he doesn't want to pay. But he doesn't pay his bills. That's a documented issue. But what is he... I mean, like I've heard the grounds for the case. Basically, they're trying to say she lied about some money she was getting to prosecute the case because it's expensive to get lawyers to prosecute that type of case. They were doing it pro bono, but they did get a backer, someone who would pay some of the legal fees, and it was disclosed at the time. And this is just vindictive prosecution. They are batting 0 for 0 on these cases. They have everyone they've gone after. They've been thrown out for vindictive prosecution, and then these lawyers gonna have to be disbarred. I mean, like, if you know that you're lying, they've got people lying to the grand jury. That's what's happening right now because they can't get these. Trump says prosecute this person, and they need to come up with a way to do it, and they do it. All right, and they're lying in court, and they're losing in court, and then the bar association, the bars wherever they're licensed at, start looking at them and say they need to be off because they are not officers of the court. They are betraying their oath. They're not being truthful, but they're doing it. And like, I don't understand why you would do it. And you know that you're going to eventually face a problem because the track record of the people whose lives he's destroyed that worked with him and for him is just right there, right? But if money is your guide, then you're gonna do what you gotta do. All right, we got one more. Just one more that just hit me like weird to show where the Democrats are. Like, one thing about just show what Democrats are. Like, one thing, like if you have a representative in your state that just like that's on the right side, it's a good feeling to have that person who's just like gets it, you know what I mean? Like really gets it, and you've had a chance to vote for them your entire life. It's been great. But then to have some representatives who just do weird shit, and they're Democrats, right? Like a lot of the people who we thought were really like progressives are now turn out to be really AIPAC Democrats, and now that this is becoming a real important fight for democracy, and we have the opportunity, or we need to look at because I said this before, right? Like the power that this regime has taken and grabbed is now there, right? And the next president, be them a Democrat or Republican, still has that power. They could relinquish it, but then they still could try to keep it and use it for whatever reason they want to use it for. And that's the problem. Well, if we don't have progressives who believe that we need to work to prevent this from ever happening again, it could just continue on. And then, like I said, once you get one president, and then it just keeps going worse and worse and worse. If you look at there's a video, I think it is an infographic about how the presidency and didn't have a lot of power in the very beginning. A lot of the power was supposed to stay in with the legislative, but then as time went on, and the presidency or the presidents kept pushing the boundary, they gained more power, and then it became a good idea to, I guess, give the president more power because of emergency and things like that. But then you see how this administration abused, like the Insurrection Act and things like that. They abused that power, and then once you abuse it, you got it. Like this whole pardon thing. Like I'm sure that it wasn't when they wrote the Constitution, wherever that power is written into our system, wasn't meant to be sold and used to pardon convicted felons, people who have committed fraud, and lift out the money, the restitution they're supposed to pay, and just that's all gone too. It wasn't for that, but that's what it's being used for now because that power is there, and they're going to just give it up. They're going to use it, especially with this current regime. They're going to use it for their benefit, as we see. And check it out.
Did everyone forget that Jeffrey Epstein was texting U.S. Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett during a House hearing in 2019? Documents show Epstein was watching the Michael Cohen testimony in real time and directing Congresswoman Plaskett towards certain topics. Right here, he directs her to discuss Trump's executive assistant, Rona Graff. Congresswoman Plaskett responds to Epstein, "Rona? Quick, I'm up next. Is that an acronym?" Epstein responds, "That's her assistant." So the same year Epstein died, and more than a decade after he became a convicted pedophile, he was powerful enough to have direct access to a sitting congresswoman and to direct her line of questioning during a House hearing. And when you look at Epstein's background with Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak, his history with weapons and security negotiations on behalf of Israel, as well as Alex Acosta's quote claiming he was told Epstein belonged to intelligence, it becomes clear as day that Epstein was much more than a billionaire. Intelligence agencies are involved, and the lack of mainstream media coverage about these intelligence agency connections tells me that these media companies are probably controlled by the same agencies. Look up Operation Mockingbird. This network of corruption, consisting of billionaires, weapons manufacturers, intelligence agencies, and likely secret societies, is the reason I started making these videos. So follow Corruption Report for more.
Now, that video, I saw the video just to show more about how the Democratic Party is functioning. Like that, she was censored. Like, I didn't hear anything about that. Like, I looked it up, and that did happen. And she was censored. And she defended herself, saying like, well, he was a constituent. That's fine, but he was still convicted. He was a constituent. Now, I don't have anybody, I'm not rich as him, so I don't know. I guess if you have a certain amount of money, you get your representative's pager, number, so you could text them. So that's the thing. If you got money, you could just text your representative in a hearing to ask questions for you. She said she was just helping a constituent. Yeah, that's a Democrat. That's a Democrat. He was Jewish, and he probably was working with the IDF and getting dirt on people and setting people up. And, she said it was just a constituent. Like, asking questions, that's a lot of access. But I guess that's the billionaire plan. If you got that much money, you get that much access. We'll never have it. All right, so that's it for the bad news and what's happening. But I saw this story, and this was a lighthearted story, and it just reminded me of living life serendipitously. So how I used to live my life, like sort of just meeting people, becoming friends, that kind of thing. This is just a beautiful story to remind us that bad times don't always be there, and they're good times. You have to be open to experiences. Be open to experiences. Be open to meeting people, because you never know who your best friend might be. And it was interesting. This reminded me of a friend that I met while I was working in DC. At a place called Food Marketing Institute. Working in IT, and I had to work with a lot of graphics people that want to use Macs and stuff like that, and web developers back in that day. Like, we had to work with these people because everything was new, and we were figuring stuff out. And I was working with one. We had a contract graphic artist who would come in. He had to have a Mac. So, just talking to him, I got to become friends with him. Now, the funny thing about him, he was a white guy. Who also, when I was in the mountain biking then, and we became friends, and we used to meet on the weekend to go mountain biking. Now, he was a gay white man. He came to my house and met my family, and it was just like we were just friends. We just hit it off because we used to go mountain biking together, and it was interesting because he showed me. I didn't know a lot about because he had his. He was also in catering, so his place was up in Georgetown, and he taught me how to ride all up through the Crescent Moon Trail. If you don't know, in DC, it starts in Georgetown, it goes all up to Bethesda, and just how to come back down. And I knew these places because I worked in these areas, but he showed me how to do all that, and it's just like just being open to meeting new people, and not being homophobic, and just open to, like. That was a friend, and that story reminded me of this story.
When I was in college, an old black guy pulled up behind me at the gas station. He started checking out my car, and he's like, "How many horses you got in that thing?" Well, we got to talking, and we had a lot in common. We exchanged contact, and we started playing tennis together. A few months later, I decided to quit my job so I could play music full time. He's like, "Hey, I got a big old house. Why don't you come stay with me?" So I ended up staying with him, and he would come to our shows, and our fans were all like 15 to 25-year-old white kids. And there'd be this one 50-year-old black dude with a big afro just bumping his head like this. And everyone's like, "Who's that?" People would be like, "Oh, yeah, that's Kimbo's tennis partner." Tennis partners? Yeah, I think he lives with them or something. I'd be like, "Oh, is that what they call it these days? Tennis partner?" Well, Wesley moved to Vietnam, and he had a heart attack recently. I hadn't seen him for like a decade, but he called me because he said, "I got to get back to my family. The doctors say I'm not sure how much time I have left to live. Can you fly with me?" I said, "Brother, I would walk to the ends of the earth and back for you." Some people, when they're there for you in those times of need, you just never forget it. So maybe you should send this to somebody who's been there for you.
Yeah, man, that was interesting just to be friends with him, and just like just a person who you normally wouldn't be friends with. Like he didn't run in my circles at that time. Like I said, I was married with kids, and I definitely like I was getting into mountain biking, and it was really great to have somebody to go riding with on the weekends. and then to show me new things about Georgetown and the bike trail, because I didn't know the bike trails back then. But I learned the Crescent Moon Trail. I learned how to go all the way from Georgetown up through Bethesda to that it's a women's farmers market. I actually worked there, or worked next door to that place after a while, and I recognized it. And that was just something to look forward to on the weekend. Just being open to being friends with somebody who you normally just probably wouldn't be in contact with. And that story was a great story. It reminded me that just be open to new experiences, man. Don't be homophobic. Don't be stupid. Like they say, like he said, like people. He went to live with him in the room, and then people were like, "Oh, that's your tennis spot." Like, that's the stuff you're gonna hear from closed-minded dumb people. But like I said, he came met my family, and then I think we were rollerblading. I don't like rollerblading. I tried it. I bought rollerblades, but it was a big thing back then. I don't even know what those things are. I never really rollerbladed. I like my mountain bike though. I had I said, what? Specialized. Yep. That was good days. That was good times. He was a good friend. Definitely a good friend, somebody I can hang out with. And he taught me how white people eat collard greens. I didn't know that white people actually ate collard greens, but he told me they didn't. Like, we cooked our collard greens for maybe a couple hours. He's like, that takes all the vitamins out of them. I'm like, I don't care. They taste delicious. And he like crunchy collard greens. I don't understand that. So let's go ahead and that was some Hope Part 1. So I gotta do some spoken word. I'm gonna do this because it's not this just hit me, right? This is for me. This is for me. I love it. It's gonna be for you too if you love it. You just listen to it. It's just a thing about they say, like, if you ask white people, would you want to come back as black, and they say no. Like, this is a hard life. It is. It sucks sometimes because you're a minority and you have to deal with bullshit. But then there's some beautiful moments of being black. And this poem actually just brings that out.
Black when it's wrong and black when it's right. Black is pyramids and mathematics. Black is melanized in magic. Black is televised and in need of drastic black advancement. Black enhances, black with chances, black with privilege, black with pride, black on purpose on the black hand side, black and beautiful, black and blessed and highly favored, praise the Lord, black and blessed, black and so much more, black and nothing less, black and educated, black is brilliant. Black is strong, black is resilient, black is song, black is infinite, like hip-hop or space. Black is grace, black is love, black makes babies, black babies grow up, black is tough, black is hard to do. Black is me, black is you. Black is not something we get to choose, but it is something we get to cherish. It's something we get to wear, and we get to rock this with honor. I'm black like my granddaddy and my great-great-great-great-grandma. Black is that lift every voice and sing. Black is that letting your freedom ring and resound. Black is adjective, adverb, color, and noun.
All right now. Yeah, so that reminds me it's got to be black. And we had a first cookout of the year for my nephew's birthday, and it was a black event. Everybody sitting out back doing a little. Yeah, it was nice. The light is blue. If you know, you know what that means. So it was a good time. I do love it, being black, and when we're together and we're chilling is a beautiful time. It's a beautiful time. And happy birthday to my nephew Jelani. It's good seeing you here having a great time. He was having a good time. He had fun. So that's gonna be it, man, for me right now. I did do a show on Wednesday, and I did come back on Friday at the regular time, 8 o'clock. I hit it. So I probably won't be back for another recording. And I'm seriously trying to chase down this Democrat thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I refuse to. Like I said, I'm not voting for an AIPAC Democrat. That's just that. I used to really especially last time when they were saying about they weren't going to vote for Kamala because of the Palestinian thing and how she didn't distance herself from Joe Biden called himself a Zionist. Didn't distance herself from Joe Biden and what was happening, and she couldn't come against AIPAC and then cut her own lane. I'm saying the same thing right now. I cannot vote for another AIPAC Democrat. So, like I said, if I'm not a Democrat, I'm an independent, and I cannot vote in the upcoming. Primary, Democratic primary in Maryland. I can't vote because I'm independent. But hopefully we have the people in my district are doing their research and understand that our current sitting Democrat, the one we have in office right now, is an AIPAC Democrat to the amount of $13 million that was poured into the campaign to get him into office. I've already played the video of how they only cared about him being pro-Israel. They didn't care anything else about him and the fact that he couldn't get the money up to beat Donna Edwards. But once they found out he was going to be pro-Israel and play ball, he got the money. The money showed up. So I will not be voting for him if he gets the nomination, and he's the incumbent. So I hope the best. I really hope we wake up. I've already highlighted who you should be voting for. The one track AIPAC endorsed candidate. So I will definitely be talking about her more as the time goes. Jackia Johnson. As the time comes closer and closer. But it's Friday night. I hope y'all got some good plans for the weekend. I hope y'all going out, if you're in the DMV, y'all going out to hear some go-go. And that brings me to the part I like to ask, what y'all want to hear? Y'all want to hear some go-go? I want to hear some go-go. Let's hear some go-go, and then we're going to be out of here. Do I have it? Yeah, right here. Now I'm going to ask a question. I'm asking a question. Is this a crank or is it the pocket? That's the crank. What you want to do is the Congos. They got everything mic'd just right. That's what you want to hear. I never heard this band before. Alright, we gone. I will see y'all on I might do something on Sunday. Not guaranteed, but I definitely will be back on I'll definitely be back on Monday. You know what I'm saying? Stay frosty, have fun, enjoy the weekend, and keep paying attention to what's going on. This is one of the most serious times since I've been alive. Alright, peace. I'm out. And seek peace. What does it say? Seek peace, pursue it. I'll see you.